Hello, I am Umbrenero, and welcome back to Umbrenero's Life. Today's video is painting with a green light. So, part 3 of this series, and we're continuing where we left off. I'm trying to remember what typings we did. I think it was dark, dragon, and ground type is what we did for this video, I believe. Yeah, it was. Okay. And I was trying to group the colors that I thought would work for specific types together, just so that way I knew what part of my palette is for what color. Well, not color, but typing. And this one was a little hard. There were some colors that looked very different than they actually were under the light. And I'm surprised how things did turn out. Up to this point, this is probably one of the areas where I have the coloring the most wrong on a typing, I think. So ground usually is like a brownish, slightly orangey color is what I would say. Dark can be dark gray, dark purple, almost black coloring. And then dragon. Dragon, I like to do a tealish purple color. So it's a darker, but not overly dark. And I will say right now, we're not far into this video, that didn't quite happen as well as I had hoped. So first things first, I did my undercoat over the ground area because I wanted that all prepped, good to go, so I didn't have to worry later on. And I was really toying with how far out this area should have gone. And I tried to make it a little bit of a gradient. It slightly worked. But just got the background done because it's like, we're going to do this in layers today and see how it goes. So I started doing the symbol for the ground typing here, and I was really trying to be careful because I knew this one had a lot of straight edges and stuff like that, but it was not going to be the most difficult of all of the type symbols that I would be painting. The one immediately to the right of it is probably the second hardest, and fire was going to end up being the hardest. But I knew this was a simple one. I had to get it done pretty nicely and make sure it was fully filled. So there were times where I'm like, is this a brown or is this a very dark gray or a black paint? Because I was unsure. And just trying to do this with the light that I had just was so hard. So then I decided, let's go work on the dark typing. It's going to be a little easier before going to dragon. So I just started doing a general base coat with over the dark and the dragon typing using what I was hoping was a white color. I think it was like off-white or something. I don't remember exactly. I have so many different colors of paint that I can't tell you exactly what was what. But I did it right away because I wanted these to kind of blend together. The two sections, like, going into them. So I thought this was going to be my best bet. So then we started coloring the area where dark was going to go. And I tried to do this as quick as I could because I wanted the paints to be able to blend. But then it was too blendy when I started filling in the symbol. Which started leading to me to do slightly heavier in spots. And in all honesty, I just started going with the flow and trying to figure out how to get this to not blend so much, because I wanted this to be somewhat dark and not too light, because it's darkness. It should be dark. So it came back in after I had that little initial symbol painted down with a darker color. I think it was a color combo. I think I mixed two colors and put that over the top and said, this looks good enough. I'm not going to be perfect. Let's call this here. So then I had to do a little bit more blending of the area because I didn't finish it. So quickly went in. Since paint was still wet, I was able to blend stuff pretty well yet. And that's where I started toying with the idea of how I was going to eventually do the decoration for this section, was while I was doing that blending. But now it's on to the dragon typing. And for this one, it's like, all right, I need this to kind of blend between these two colors, but still be its own area and feel like its own area. Since I had just got done with the darkness area for doing stuff, that blended so much easier than it did going over into the ground. So there were things that I was learning while doing this that's like, okay, next time I do something like this, I need to make sure. Do your whole background first. Blend what you need to get blended as you're going, because working with a wet paint versus dry is so much nicer. But I got the base in, and I was hoping it was going to be like this very, I don't know, like vibrant color. And that this would be like a purpley, aqua teal, like just dark enough that it looked really neat color. So it's like, this is where I was getting nervous, because it's like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And this one, because I just put down all of that background, that was wet. So I had to go very heavy here to get my solid color that I wanted. And I will say, because this audio was recorded after this was done, this is one of the type symbols that has turned out to be one of my favorites because of how thick I put the paint on. Because once it dried, it started to crack. which I thought felt very appropriate with the dragon typing. But since I was done with the 3 symbols, I'm like, let's start putting in some design. So I was grabbing one of my brushes, and it's like, all right, I kind of want it to just blend the 3 together, so that way they look like they're meant to be on the same area. So I just started tapping in these little bushes or clouds or whatever you want to call them, just to unite the sections and also kind of cover up that very harsh divide between the ground and dragons. Because while I was doing the dark section, I started doing this, and it's like, oh, that would look good on top. So that's where I hurry up painted over and started doing what I did. But here is how these little things turned out, and I didn't have to be perfect with them. I could pick up literally any of the colors I was using and just start tapping away. Could be softer in some areas, rougher in others. But in the end, it did look kind of neat. And as I said, I was hoping for a teal purpley color for the dragon type symbol in the middle. Didn't happen. But I got a nice darker color. So for not being able to tell what color I picked out, I think it came out pretty well. So thank you for watching, and until next time, I am Umbrenero. Bye!